now. So we should be going live anytime. Awesome. All right, it's working. I'm gonna pin a comment real quick, and we are good to go, man.
I'm not seeing it yet.
There's a lag.
There. I just
It's
got the
it's
notification
a
on my
buffer.
phone.
I'm not actually sure what the buffer's for, but it's there. So okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, so let's do this. Let's change the view to gallery. There we go. That likes that better. And
I muted. I muted the stream.
Yeah, definitely mute the stream. So there we go. We should be good.
Hold
Oh,
on.
man,
I'm
I
gonna
was
refresh
thirsty.
on my end. I'm seeing a real tiny picture.
Yeah, I fixed it. It just takes a while to.
Uh,
There's a delay.
yeah.
So there we go. Now it's showing.
There we go.
Jean Carlos Sands. Hello, brother, and blessings. Hello. Thank you for hopping on. So this is gonna be interesting because most of the most vocal commenters in the stream
Are here.
are on the Zoom this time. So yeah, it'll be fun. Thought we had 4. I thought Oscar. Let's see here. Who's not on this right now?
Charles disappeared.
Oh, Charles vanished on us, huh? It's all good. How's it going, Jason?
Not bad. Had to spend a few hours with Dennis today, but I came out through on the other end.
And you came back for more.
Oh, oh Lord.
Yikes.
Yeah. Now we had Scottish Rite degree practices today, so.
Oh.
Sounds good. Sounds like
Oh, yeah, he
something
didn't.
coming up or something.
What's that?
So it's almost like y'all got something coming up or something.
Yeah.
You're letting Dennis participate in the degrees?
Do what?
So you're letting Dennis participate in the degrees?
He's a degree master.
Oh, okay. Sure. Kind of like I'm a kung fu master.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Okay, we got Oscar and Charles trying to come in.
All right.
All right.
There's Oscar.
Charles is having some trouble, looks like. What's up, Oscar?
What's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
You're living the dream.
Just ready to start a new week.
Yeah.
I've got my Blue Lodge meeting tomorrow, and then on Friday I'm the district instructor. So it's getting close to elections, so we're doing practices, supposed to be getting everybody where they need to be, if they show up like they're supposed to. So it is what it is.
Yeah, we got a fellowcraft degree tomorrow at 7, so I'm trying to make it back home.
That's cool. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
nice.
my favorite one.
Giancarlo from El Paso.
What's up, Charles Smith? Let's see.
Yeah, sorry, I tried to join the YouTube live stream and it just killed my phone, so
Oh,
I'll be watching comments.
that's all good. El Paso, Texas, man. Yeah, that's out there for sure.
Don't be careful now.
I'm just saying it's closer to the Grand Lodge of New Mexico than the Grand Lodge of Texas.
I miss El Paso.
Do you?
Something fierce.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where all the best salsa comes from. Better than that stuff that's made in New York City. Oh, wait. That was San Antonio. That commercial used to be. Was it El Paso or San Antonio? The old Pace pecani sauce commercials.
I thought you were going to talk about old El Paso taco kits for a second.
No. I don't know what that is. Probably for the best. Okay, I got children running around. 1 second.
Well, of course.
Yeah, I pass by El Paso like every week.
I went through my degrees in El Paso.
Did you? Yeah. Yeah, I travel a lot to West Coast, and this week they surprised me, and I went to up to Bluffton, Indiana, and I'm on my way back. I'm over here in Cleveland, Texas right now.
Oh man, all over the place.
Man, where is Old Man Yates? He's the life of the party. He's the
Is he though?
he's chattier than I am. I'm not a very good conversation person, so
Well,
he always has something
I do
to say.
got a question. I do got a question for y'all.
Sure.
For the summit on September the 16th.
Mm-hmm.
I know he had said that Dennis had said that we could bring our aprons just in case, but I'm a new Mason. Like I was just recently raised, so I really don't know what that means.
You can probably bring the white lambskin you were raised with.
Yeah. Did they not give you an apron when you were raised?
They gave me a leather one and they told me to put it away so I could be buried with it, kind of deal. But I really don't know.
That is unfortunate that they told it to you like that, because it's presented to you to wear it all the occasions, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or something along those lines, and it's meant for you to wear, not just to be stuffed away and be buried in. And in fact,
Okay.
like a lot of jurisdictions, like I know a lot of Texas Mason, like they'll go to England, and they see all the Masons walking into the Grand Lodge of England. It's like, why do they all have suitcases for? That's because in most countries you're expected to bring your own apron.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
These I can't remember the exact story, but the ones that most lodges have originally were given away or sold cheaply as like as kind of to get people to buy more from them, their regalia for like the embroidery companies and stuff. And we just got in the habit of just wearing those. So I mean, we're wearing the cheap handouts basically in a lot of lodges.
Where
So definitely, go ahead.
one time I attended a Scottish lodge in Korea, and I wore my white apron, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm a master mason." I come in wearing a white apron. They're like, "I thought you said you were a master. That's an entered apprentice's apron." I'm like, "No." And then one of the other guys who knew American style was like, "No, that's a master's apron. They wear white lambskin for masters." They're like, because the right worshipful master was from Australia. The secretary was from South Africa. The treasurer was Korean. Almost everybody else was Korean, and I was the only American in the room.
Wow.
I've heard similar stories of people that have gone back to England. They went to England and they had their apron, and they go in there. It's the same thing. It's like, that's not a Master Mason's apron. It's like, yeah, we just fandangle our bibs.
And then they're like, "Why is it so big?" And I go, "Texas."
Oh, why you're so small?
Yeah. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, somebody said that they were running late and never told me they were ready.
Well, the party still starts without me.
Well, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, well,
Yeah,
you know.
Dennis was in the military. He doesn't get that.
Yeah, Dennis late.
Dennis
late.
Dennis late.
Dennis operates on Masonic Standard Time.
That's exactly right. And I always have to make it.
What you do, Dennis, is you show up half an hour early and wait an hour for the officer that was supposed to start it to actually show up. That's how you know you're on time.
30 minutes?
Yeah.
You new here?
Yeah.
Air Force.
Or
sorry.
or you log in with a set practice from 5 to 7 and then realize that the practice was till 7 because it takes 45 minutes for all the old people to get on. Oh. Was that live?
Oh, was that your Zoom stuff? The CME
Yeah.
stuff?
But it that's okay. Yeah, it is. But I actually had technical difficulties myself. I had to go to HEB on my way. I was driving from San Antonio home, and I had to go to HEB to get some wired headphones because my Bluetooth in my truck messes up the Zoom. It creates an echo.
Gotcha. Giancarlo Sands says, "I love the podcast and all you guys are doing, especially Justin. The other guy's okay too. I've heard all the episodes. I have you on my top 3 Masonic podcasts so far. Good job, kudos, brethren. Well, thank you very much. I'd love to know who the other top two are. Out of my curiosity, I was just kidding, Dennis.
Yeah,
they didn't
and
say that extra stuff.
that's
Are
okay.
you reading the same thing I am?
My ancestors will come and get them. It's okay.
Giancarlo, are you a member of a lodge?
You're talking about the ancestors that rode uphill barefoot, bareback horse across the Red River both ways.
No, I'm talking about all of our ancestors.
The lizard people, man, the lizard people.
Yes. Yes.
Illuminati confirmed. There we go.
In the beginning, there was a little green man
Yeah.
who came
His name
from
was
a
Dick Clark.
place. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Now
It's
he's
funny,
talking
we're-
about the Book of Enki.
We in practice there's this one thing that they always say kneel, and I I always think about the Superman movie, and some of y'all might be too young for this, but that weirdo when they had the three weirdos that came from Superman's planet, and he always said kneel before Zod, whatever his name was. Anyways,
No, Dennis's ancestors are the bad guys from Flash Gordon.
oh yes, oh my God, I love that. Flash, oh,
Yeah.
savior of the universe.
Oh
That's all you
Lord.
had to say, man. That's all you had to say.
And when they're flying across on their spaceship,
Oh yeah, man. They were-
going
they
to
were-
war.
Johnson says,
They were awesome.
I'm cautious, just got my EA. So they're made some of it.
Oh,
just got the
very
EA.
cool.
James Kirkpatrick's
Oh,
on chat.
we have tacos.
James, well, here, just for you, I will do this and save that one.
A skull. Ooh. I'm telling.
In the name of the Grand Commander Conclave, I bring you skulls.
Speaking of Grand Commandery, we have a new Grand Commander.
We do. And
Yep.
congratulations to him. That's a long journey. When
Yeah.
you think about where you start in Commandery and where you go, how long it takes to get there. I mean, that's a 10-year ride once you commit. And once you make yourself available, that's a 10-year ride. That's a lot of work. That's not for the faint of heart, sure.
Oh, we have a batters.
I was gonna say, who's this batters
Uh-oh.
person?
Uh-oh.
Will
Lord.
I am.
Will
batters.
I am.
Another San Antonian.
Brother Sands says
That guy.
the other two podcasts are the Traveling Man and the Winding Stairs. They've both been on this show too, so that's good.
Yep.
That's good. How was
Yeah,
who went to Grand Commandery? How was that?
I did not.
I didn't either.
I heard an interesting story about it, but I can't share it live.
I thought for sure that you would have gone because you're so close.
Yeah.
Who, me?
No, the other one. I see both y'all on each corner, so when I'm pointing, it may be to the wrong person.
Where was it
Oh.
even at this year?
Grapevine.
Grapevine. Yeah.
Yes,
Straight up.
congratulations to Gabe Yagish, the new Grand Sentinel of the Grand Commandery.
Yeah.
He's the grandest sentinel. I mean, this guy.
No,
Ronnie
I like
Wilson,
Gabe.
New Grand Recorder too. Very cool.
He does
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff for the fraternity. I really do. In fact, we had somebody reach out in the San Antonio Scottish Rite Facebook page. I think I told y'all in the last deal we did, and I sent him to Gabe because he's from Fort Worth, and I wanted him to go to Fort Worth 148 to go through their process. If he's interested in joining,
They do it well up there when they're
Yes,
bringing
they
new
do it
guys
right.
in.
Yes, they do it right. I commend them. I think that there's two lodges that really do it right. They're one, and Hillcrest is one, and otherwise anybody else is just one team. I got to get me a drink. On that note,
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, I'll ignore the pot shot at Seguin chapter and council. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
See, he just likes to throw these elbows out.
No, I'm talking about Blue Lodge. I'm talking about Blue Lodge Freemason on the investigation and the process that they go. They have to go through a 6-month process in Fort Worth, and that is the way it should be done.
Thank you,
Hillcrest is pretty close to the same.
Thank Oscar for gifting a membership, and congratulations Alpha X Omega on your membership. 2 for 1.
All right.
Dennis has 2 weapons at his disposal: the outright blatant fact or the backhanded compliment. Which one are you gonna get?
Dennis is usually a backhanded compliment.
Man, that is not true. Only when I.
Yeah.
You do really well for sucking so bad.
Who was that?
Yeah, that was somebody who gets my compliments very often.
Oh.
No, actually,
Sees the back of his hand a lot.
Jason's the shizzle. He really is the pit to my arm. That's for sure.
Man.
Oh,
I would not be able to bend.
Wow.
I would not be able to work it like I do without him.
Please don't work it, Dennis.
Yeah, I was so hopeful on hearing something nice.
Talk about a compliment.
Backhanded compliment.
Well, I after what y'all said about me, I couldn't disappoint the audience. I mean, the world is watching. They want
so sensitive.
You know.
No, I have a lot of love for Jason Reichenberg.
It's because he's the Sultan of Seguin.
Well, and I don't want to be on one of his lists. You know, he's got a family heritage that could really. Just kidding.
Oh, this is an interesting rabbit hole.
No, that was a fan.
Oh man.
Well, thank God we all have gray hair.
So what were we talking about?
No, you want to talk about ancestors, man. Mine, I come from a long line of trailer trash guys. That's why I am who I am.
The family tree forks back on itself.
Is it like the royal family stick?
Exactly. I don't know if she's a sister, a wife, what.
Wow.
Who's
Roll
saying
Tide.
Wow.
No, I was born in the family. That's so funny that you say that. Oh my God.
Alabama
I was
royalty.
born in Huntsville, Alabama.
Wow.
Says a lot, doesn't it? That's
Yikes.
awesome. That's all right. If
Anyway.
you can't make fun of yourself, you can't really say
Any-
anything about anybody else.
Anyways,
Yes. Anyways.
at Knob Creek tomorrow, we will be having Billy Hamilton down to talk about Texas Lodge research.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
How was the degree?
Oh, it was great.
I saw the
Fellowship
pictures you
afterward
sent.
was even better.
Yes.
Let's
Nice.
see, what day was that?
Wednesday.
So the festivities were on then,
Yes.
across the road. Nice.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I bet that was a great time.
We even gave the new guy a little hard time because we tell him every month for dinner that, hey, friends, family, and loved ones are welcome. And this is our first time meeting the girlfriend. So we gave him a little bit of a hard time about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good though that y'all fellowshipped right after. You know
Yeah.
that's a good time to answer a lot of questions that they might have after a degree.
They've got that
Oh, yeah.
Irish pub right across the street. If they didn't fellowship afterwards, it'd be almost criminal. Like, you're kind of
Yeah.
obligated
I know,
to
right?
when you got something like that. And it's a nice one, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We have the commercial street bar right next door to our lodge. So it's a sin if we don't do something about it.
Skip Smith used to have a Irish pub in Hillsboro. And so that's where we would go. Yeah, it was good times. So,
Who did? Skip?
Nice.
Skip, yeah.
Oh, junior past Grand High Priest.
Yes, sir.
He's a good guy. I
Wow,
like
and
Skip.
100
Oh,
years
he's-
ago, he wouldn't have been able to be a Mason if he was selling alcohol.
Yeah, that's how it was my granddad's time.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Dennis is about to open that can.
No, Skip's like Skip's one of my favorite people. Like,
And
probably one of my
wonderful
mentors.
speaker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just think of who we would have missed out on if that were still the case, right?
Well,
That's the point of what I was saying.
Yeah.
You know, that's a perfect example of who we would have missed out on if we still had a law like that. Now we just got to get rid of the prohibition that we're in right now.
Oh, in time. It'll go away in time.
In due course.
Yeah, it's right.
Well, most definitely, I would be out.
Well, the same people that voted against it a few years ago probably will not vote against it in 10 years.
Because they won't
This is
be
true.
there to do it.
Yeah.
This is true.
Time is on our side. We'll fix it for eternity, but time is on our side. It just
Yeah.
it takes time.
I think
I'd like
one of the biggest opponents was one of Dennis's favorite people in the whole wide world.
I was in
Who's
favor of it.
that?
He lives in that San Antonio area. That guy.
Oh,
Oh my
I
god.
believe you're right.
Yeah, that was a fun. That was a fun.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at
Yeah.
that. Funny, not funny, sir. Well played.
So y'all talking about taking time for new candidates when I got back a minute ago.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm thinking.
And
I'm thinking really a lodge. You need to have like you gotta have your bylaws. Legally, you have to have bylaws, right? And ideally,
100%.
ideally, your bylaws should have the minimum, just what's absolutely required to function as an organization. The rest of it
Right.
should be covered by your rules.
standing rules.
Yeah, rules and regulations.
Right.
And that's
And
where your
standard
procedures.
Procedures, SOPs.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's where your procedures need to go in. Like
And Form 20, because we're going through
Yeah,
this right now
yeah.
at Knob Creek. We thought we were good because they're posted on Grandview. Turns out they're not. And I just formed an ad hoc bylaws committee real fast and said, "Hey, you guys are the committee. I've already looked through them. Here's Form 23. Here's what we did. Now, see what I missed."
Right.
Yeah.
And we had
That's
first
the way-
vote last month.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, and just trust your committee.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the whole
Once-
point of having committees, right?
Exactly. Why? You know, I hate it when you have a committee give a presentation of what they've been working on, and then you have 5 or 10 Masons stand up in the middle of the deal trying to spout off their opinion on what the committee's been doing all their research on. It just
Well, what aggravates me, and we're not here to bitch, right? But I mean, what frustrates me about committees is if you appoint a committee, that means you need to have your meetings outside lodge, right?
Yes.
Before the lodge, after lodge, just some other completely different day. It doesn't matter, but you need to have those meetings outside. Like last time at one of my lodges, the business came up for committees, and the committee head stand up and he's like, "Hey, so we need to do a fundraiser sometime. I'll say about maybe this or maybe that. What do you guys think? Are there any dates that might work for
Absolutely
everybody?"
not.
It's like, no. And I pull him aside after that. It's like, but the whole purpose of a committee is to stand up and say, "This is what we decided we're going to do it. This is what we're going to do it."
Why didn't the master shut him down?
I don't think he was here. He wasn't there for that. I don't think. I think it was the senior one was sitting in.
Whoever
And-
was in the
but
chair should
even
have shut him
still,
down.
Well,
we should have known.
But yeah, it's a peeve of mine. It's something that irks me, and it's so this goes. And I pull him aside. It's like one day, there's two types of worship masters. There's the kind of worship master that delegates and gives everybody opportunities to grow as leaders, which is what we should be doing. And there's the kind that just does it all himself, and at the end of the year, he's burned out and pissed off. Right? You don't want to be that second one, which means you need to be able to delegate. And if you're going to delegate things, you need to be able to count on those committees to, when they give a report, they're reporting what they're doing. It's not, "Hey, what do you guys think about this?" It's
Right.
like you've taken care of business behind the scenes, and this is what we're doing moving forward. And you've already run it by the worshipful master or whatever, so he's not caught off guard.
When I appointed my committees, I gave them clear intents and purposes. Like, these are your lanes. This is what I expect y'all to do. And
Right.
I do an officers meeting every
And this
month.
is your time frame.
Yep. And I do an officers meeting every month. And I'm like, all right, committees, what you got? Like, building committee, do we need a work day? Do we need to buy supplies for something? This committee, committee X, you got anything?
Yeah.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And if they don't have anything, I'm not going to run down every single committee I've got just to have them speak at the meeting.
No, absolutely.
Like, if there's no reason, if they don't have anything, we just move on.
So I was actually talking to Dennis about something like this earlier, and that is, I'm thinking about with the MWC we're forming in my district, saying, bring your worshipful masters for next year, your incoming worshipful masters, and your elected officers, because they haven't done it. They should have already done it, but bring them in, and just having like giant desk calendars, right? And get with them and say, okay, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna open the calendar, and starting the first month after you're installed, look at all your meeting nights and put them on the calendar, and put all the district meeting nights on the calendar for all the other lodges, and designate a day once a month and say, this is when we're gonna set aside for degrees if we have any degrees, and set aside a day once a month or every few months for like a lodge work day. And find out when you're going to do your fundraisers and put those on the calendar. And basically, by the time you're done, you should have your entire year planned out, right? So you're being proactive. And then when you appoint a committee, you say, we are having a fundraiser in, I don't know, March. You're in charge of putting it together and getting everything together for it. And there's no ambiguity, like aside from maybe what the fundraiser is. Or you could just say, we're doing a fish fry. You need to make it happen. That's your job. But
yeah, you have 2 months to figure out what it's going to be, and then you have 2 months to execute.
Yes.
That's why we've made this date, and this is why. Yeah, absolutely.
And it worked really well for some other organizations I've been in that are also volunteer, and there's no reason why it wouldn't work with our lodge. And then once you have it all on paper,
that's what we teach. Go ahead.
Once you have it all on paper, put it on the district calendar or your lodge calendar, like electronically, so you can send it to everybody or whatever. But like me personally, I like things in front of me when I'm working on stuff. I feel like people work together better collaboratively on something tangible, and then after you have it, then you can say, okay, this is it. It's cemented. Put it online, and aside from any small changes we might have to make out of necessity, this is what we're going with.
Right, and that's and it's interesting that you say that, because that's what we were teaching in officer leadership training. That was Mike Malone and my presentation for calendar planning, and I can't remember the title of it, but it was basically planning. And Mike, he's like Justin. He's a tangible guy. He likes the big desk calendar, and everybody get on it and start doing the thing. And then me, I taught the digital platform and how to put it on your, how to get it on your lodge email address with your all your events and contacts, to where then if you click on that event online, it automatically pulls up who, when, what, where, who do you get in contact with, and then you can just instantly push a button and save it on your phone. It's that simple, and it's so easy to do all at one time in the very beginning, and then your year's easy. All you're doing is following your roadmap. It's a map. It's a roadmap to your year.
Yeah.
It's just like with the agenda for the lodge meeting. They're the same thing. One's a small, one's a micro, and one's a macro. But they're both roadmaps.
I would even say, like, if someone has something that they. Good evening, CWH. Thanks for hopping on. I would even go as far as say like your meetings need to have an agenda, right? And like every other organization does this. Like the meetings have an agenda, and if you want to speak about something, you're on the agenda, right? And if someone's like, hey, I really want to do a fish fry, I think we should do a fish fry. Then you could say either, well, then you need to get with the fundraising committee and see about
to the committee.
getting involved with that in March when we have our fish fry, or you just like it's not on the calendar for the year. Why don't you do a fish fry? Now if there's like an emergency and like, hey, our roof's leaking, we don't have the money, let's do a fish fry to raise money for the roof. If it's a necessity and you're earmarking that money for something, I'd probably be okay with that. But otherwise, if you just, hey, I'm antsy and I need a fundraiser, here's the Lions Club application. Go do that if you want to just fundraise just for fun, because we have an agenda and a goal for the year that doesn't involve just because otherwise you're just being reactive to everything that comes up.
Right.
And you need to be proactive. Say this is the agenda for the year. This is what the calendar looks like, and anything you want to do either needs to fit into the calendar or it needs to be a big necessity to make an exception.
100%. I didn't do the whole year. I broke down by quarter.
Yeah.
Well, because sometimes you have to adjust.
Yeah.
But I'd like to commend Jason. He did that as chief of the Knights of St. Andrew this year, whereas we haven't had that in, as far as I know, any time that I've been there. And now we actually have a calendar of events and what we're supposed to do, what we need to do, and things of that nature. And it really does make it easier to decide what can and cannot get to. And that way you can also let people know in advance if you can't be there and they can adjust. That's another good thing about it.
Well, and that's, and I appreciate that, Dennis. That was a true and pure compliment. I appreciate that. But it's one of those things. Like I had to do that because, the Knights of St. Andrews are guys that are highly active in everything. Yes. And I had to look out the entire year to make sure that there wasn't something major that we scheduled that, 3/4 of the guys are going to be going to and stuff like that. So it helps with that. And then, my closest, I haven't been a worshipful master yet, but I was exalted ruler for the Elks. And
here we go. Had to bring it in.
But however, I will say, I didn't just run a lodge. I had a bar and I had RV parking and I had meal services and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, the amount of business that we did was about 4 times. And I look back, and this was from 6 years ago, and I had every single meeting. Not only did I have agendas, but I also had what committees I needed to hear from each time. So I think one evening we did like Lodge of Sorrow, an initiation, something else, and we still got out of the meeting in like, hour and a half, which is short for an Elks Lodge meeting. And but it's because I don't get I have never been able to fathom somebody showing up to a meeting and just turning to their secretary like, oh, okay, what's next? You're like, this is your meeting.
Yeah, and that should be done well in advance. It should be done at least a couple of days. The final draft of the agenda should be done a few days before the meeting so that it's printed out and given to every officer, and every committee member that's affected needs to have a copy. And that way they can write their notes and all that. It shouldn't be something where you ad lib something at the last minute when you walk in the door of lodge and all that. It's like, come on, guys. You knew that you were going to ask this probably 3 weeks ago, and yet you save it until you come to the lodge and say it's of utmost importance. It's just not okay. We've got to streamline these things so we can get to the fun stuff like the education and the fellowship, so we can have a little bit of education, and then get out early enough to go to that Irish pub across the street. Man, that's what it's all about, because every bit of that creates those connections that we share together, that strengthens that bond. Every bit of it.
Yeah.
I put it out at the beginning of my year. You have until the Thursday prior to the meeting to get something added to the agenda. After that, and barring an emergencies are always
Right.
exceptions. But
Yeah.
And this whole, and I see it too, the worshipful master looking at the secretary tells me that he did not plan. He came to the meeting unprepared. He hadn't even spoken to the secretary, which, if anyone's supposed to be speaking on a regular basis, it should be at least the worshipful master and secretary. And so the worshipful master should have a pretty good idea of what's coming up. I mean,
That's why we have the scenario that everybody thinks the secretary runs the law.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a bunch of malarkey, because he doesn't, and he shouldn't.
Even in York, me in the secretary, we'll talk, and it's not long. I mean, we don't have a lot of we rent the building, so we don't have a lot of building issues that take up a lot of time, but we at least talk before the meeting, so I know when we're ready to move on to the next business, right? And it makes you look incompetent when you have no idea what the meeting that you're supposed to be running is even going to be about.
Yeah, I'm also not a huge fan of the master that has his agenda on his phone, because then you don't have the copies for everybody else to take their notes on, and so the rest of the officers aren't in sync with what you're doing, and plus sometimes they just get there and it's just so tedious watching them do this. I get so frustrated seeing that.
Yeah.
I don't. The only time I pull my phone out in Lodge is to put in a date if a date comes up, because if I don't put it in right then, I'll forget. But otherwise, I don't like seeing phones in the Lodge. There's no reason for it. It slows down the process and it distracts.
To me, it kind of shows disinterest if I see you on the phone.
yeah,
And if I see
just disrespect to a speaker.
disrespect, yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. And if I see the worshipful master on the phone during the meeting, then you need to lead by example, right? If you don't want everybody in your meeting on the phone, the worshipful master should not be on his phone. And granted, I know you're talking about reading the agenda. Do we know that? Do we know that's what you're doing?
Right.
It just
Right.
from sitting across the room, it's just like he's sitting on his phone. And so, I think it looks. I hate to say professional because this is a volunteer organization, right? But I think a certain level of professionalism should still be expected. And I think
Efficiency.
I think it looks unprofessional and inefficient. CWH says that's what we do. A notice goes out with the agenda from a Blue Lodge in advance, and then after we eat together. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yes,
So,
that's awesome. I
so
wish that's the way we.
I'm coming into I guess this will be my 4th year as secretary, Guadalupe Lodge, and I've tried this at the beginning of the first 3 years. I have a full agenda, and the full agenda basically, it runs through, like, you do opening and then pledge and introduction of
Flags,
flag, everything, right?
yeah.
And then I
The
used
officers and
right,
yeah.
Then I used to do. There was a separate version that was just basically the business, and that was meant for all the members. So they don't need to see that you're gonna do opening and this and that. So they just needed to see what we were going to cover during the meeting. And so the senior officers, of course, myself, would have the full agenda, and then the members would have the business agenda. And I did it for like the first 2 or 3 months, but then I stopped because I would see the same pile of papers sitting there because no one would take a look at. And I would tell everybody, I would stand up and say, "Hey, look, there's a separate business agenda meeting so that you can follow along." I have not broken that culture yet. Like, golly, I'm not going to sit here every single month and print out all of this stuff and have it sit there for nobody to look at. So
Yeah, that's why I only did it for the officers. That way the officers had their stuff to write their notes, because they're accountable for what
right.
The expectations are set. They better write down notes.
I will probably try it again with this new incoming master to see if I can't, but I'm not holding out.
We'll see. We have a big fear about upsetting peace and harmony, right? Which is why we don't want to try to change the culture too much, or tell people, hey, you can't talk because you're not on the agenda. But I think if we want to move forward as a more efficient and healthy organization for the future, we're going to have to make some people mad, and it's not because we're being callous or jerks, but it's because we start setting standard that we should have never let go of, and holding one another accountable. Speaking of which, CWH says they report to their secretary if they'll be present, or if not, they'll send their regrets. Traditional service does this a lot, and I think that's something.
Nice.
I think that's something we need to start. It's kind of hard with the older guys, but we need to start baking that culture into new people in our lodges, because usually, at least most districts I know send out an email whenever there's a lodge coming up, right? And I think ideally
we
the
have
lodge,
an email and a phone.
yeah, and the local lodge should be sending meetings out too. And I think we need to make that into the culture for these new guys. When they get the email, if you're going to be there, let the secretary know. At least respond to the email. And if you're not going to be there, let them know that you won't be there, and frankly, let them know why. And I say that because I think we give people too much of a pass. And I know there are exceptions when you're expected to not be there, but I think often we are too lenient with ourselves with that. I think we need to hold each other accountable. I mean, if you're going to be a member of this lodge, you need to be here or have a reason not to be. And if that's an issue, there's plenty of lodges that won't hold you accountable and let you do whatever you want. Go join that.
Oh, Brother Smith, we love you, and sorry you have to leave us early, but I know it's for good reason. Take care, and my family will be praying for you and your family.
Oh, yikes.
We love you.
5 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for hopping in, brother. Hope everything goes well.
That's all right. You get to get up just to go to sleep, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, and going back to, it's funny, this past Scottish Rite meeting, I got up to give a presentation right after the minutes, or just a minute after the minutes. And, at Scottish Rite, we have it all printed out so everybody can pick it up as they walk in the door. We have a sign-in to where we have our dues card, and we show that we're legitimate to be there. And sure, it's a formality, but it's something we should be doing anyways. And so we have that sign-in, and then the treasurer's report as well as the minutes of the previous meeting are right there. So the only thing that happens in our Scottish Rite is that we say, I move to approve the minutes as written. And that's it. So when I got up, I immediately said, these are my favorite minutes of all the lodges. Because, you're not sitting there listening to the secretary in his monotone, blah, 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 and then going on to the grand secretary stuff, blah, 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 blah. It's all there right for you.
Well, most Grand Lodge communications you can post, right? Unless it says, please read this in open lodge. Just post it. Put it on the bulletin board and post it. And
right.
I've been to a lodge like you're talking about. It was a Blue Lodge. And the secretary printed out a copy of the minutes, shared it with everybody when they sat down in the lodge room, took the copy back up, and then when it came time for minutes, he asked everyone that wanted to read it, had a chance to, and then they voted on it and moved on. And
yeah, there's some lodges that are progressive like that now. Yes.
Yeah. I didn't think it's progressive. I think it's just common sense.
Right. Well, when you're talking about traditional versus today, that's pretty progressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can that be done by the bylaws of the Grand Lodge?
Yes.
Okay.
You cause the minutes to be read.
Well, how many actual officers actually read the bylaws of the Grand Lodge? to know that.
The
Not
junior
that.
warden should be doing that for his lodge if the officers don't know.
He's the lawyer.
He should be
That's an
doing
excellent-
it. He should be
that's
doing
an-
that regardless. Yeah. At least once a meeting, he should be reading something out of the law book. I mean, it's even in the charge, I believe, that when he gets installed, to do so.
Yes. When it was my year, I actually, anything that we had happening in our meeting that there was reference in the law book, I would have the junior warden read the part of the law that was representative of what we were doing. So if we were balloting a petition, if we were assigning an investigation committee, if we were, whatever we were doing, he read that so that the members understood why we did what we were doing. That's the perfect time to do it.
Yeah. Shame you can't read the entire investigation manual to those guys.
No, that would be like pulling teeth.
Oh yeah, I mean it's lengthy, but I think anyone that's going to be on the investigation committee should at least be familiar with the manual, and most of them probably are not.
And there is a new one.
Yes, and anybody that jumps up to volunteer to investigate, pick the guy next to him. You want the guys that are the strictest and the most. They're going to be the most tough, not the guys that want to throw everybody through the ringer and then say, well, we'll sort it out later. Well, if he doesn't make it through his work, then he was never meant to be a Mason. Right?
I wrote an article years ago before Dennis came on, and it was how to investigate a candidate. And I shared it like I share everything, right? And I think it was Texas Free. It was a website, not a website. It was a group on Facebook. And one or two of the people on there were like, "Hey, this is way too strict. You'll never get anybody like this." And I was like,
Yes.
"Well, that is this is based off the investigation manual of Texas. It's on the Secretary's database, right?" And so
That's awesome.
if you think it's strict, I mean, this is what our state is recommending, and I think someone threatened to file charges against me over that. But
I believe it.
yeah, whatever.
You're not supposed to
Come
just
at me.
ask the question.
Come at me.
Yeah, exactly. You're not supposed to just go through exactly what's written in the investigation. You're not supposed to just do those. And so many people think if you go outside of that, you're actually wrong for doing that. But really, it's supposed to be a conversation, and then you just fill out the blanks as you go.
Why
But
are
there's
you
supposed to
grilling
be
these people?
A dialogue.
Why are you making it hard for them?
Well, some
Right.
people don't even do that. They just read off the petition, the questions off the petition itself, and that's it. They don't even.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
God, you're supposed to do the investigations 5 minutes before the stated meeting.
I mean,
Jeez, come on now.
They deserve
And
to get to a
everybody
degree
needs
as
a
fast
lot.
as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meet their wives. Why?
Well, we come from a culture where everything's supposed to be quick, right? And so I
Yeah.
think we have that expectation for all the members. Like, hey, let's get them in. Let's go quick before they lose interest. Really, it needs to be the opposite. And I've talked about this, right? But it needs to be the opposite. Let's be slow and deliberate. And if he loses interest, then he wasn't going to stick around anyway. Like if he's being involved, coming to the meetings, to the dinners, and hanging out with us, and he's losing interest, do you think rushing him and putting him in a business meeting is going to get him excited? No.
Well, that's kind of. I think when I think of that, I think about an analogy between TikTok and an interview. The people that are big TikTokers or whatever, they just look, swipe, look, swipe, look, swipe, look, swipe. The people that are TikTok, the people that are really into what you're doing, they're going to sit there, they're going to listen to that interview. They're invested in what's being expressed. They care. They're not just looking for some woman jiggling her butt or whatever. You've got the short attention span people and you've got the long attention span people. I don't want the short attention span people in Freemasonry. I want the long attention span people, because they're the ones that are going to dig, and they're the ones that are going to persevere. They're the ones that are going to, be around when we get old. I'm not looking for the guy that just jumped in because we thought it might be the right thing to do, but wasn't sure. I know that my grandparents did it, my great grandparents, so I should probably do it too. But no real, no real reasons behind that other than that. You know, that's kind of how I feel about that. What do y'all think?
I kind of zoned out there for the second half. What was it you were saying?
No, well, I got a different rabbit hole to go under. What if it's not the new guys that lose the attention span? What if it's the older senior members that actually lose the attention span that aren't actually like taking pride in the lodge itself?
Wow, that was a cultural thing that we've been dealing with for a long time. And you know, we were up at the Scottish Rite today, and we were looking at different things that needed to be fixed, and we were looking at things that had been fixed, and you could tell that there was a cultural mindset at one point that, you know, it's we can't really afford it right now. Just wait and do it later. We can't spend that money. We need to save that money. We need to hoard that money. And then later on, when later comes, it's so big, it's so overwhelming, and the money's gone. So there's no money to do it. And
this is a conversation Dennis and I had yesterday.
It is.
But what if you do have the money to make the repairs or make the changes and whatnot, but you still like want to hold off because what if, and then your only other option is to, well, let's just sell the building and buy something new.
Right. That's just, and then what's going to happen? It's the same thing. And it's the cultural thing, like I was talking about. And you know, we've come to this. We're in a world today where it's a throwaway world. Especially back in the 70s and 80s, it was big on plastic this, plastic that. Everybody make everything out of plastic and just throw it away, you know. But now we're starting to realize we need to conserve some things. But that's the mindset that people, you know, had, is just use it up until you can't anymore and then throw it away and get a new one. Well, what happens when you don't really have the money to get the new one? You know, that's the problem. But yeah, I feel you.
Look at the folks who grew up in the Great Depression. They throw away nothing.
Right. That's a fact. Yeah. And they know how to fix everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. That's the difference between the generations, right? This other culture, they don't know how to fix anything. All they know how to do is use it till it breaks and then throw it away and get a new one.
I mean, some of those people you're talking about, they wouldn't even throw away tinfoil. Like they'd smooth it back out and reuse it.
And,
yes.
And all them butter things inside the refrigerator ain't butter.
I never knew at my grandma's house. I go to grandma's house and I didn't know if it was going to be country crock or
country. Oh my God. We just put X-rated, guys. Thank you for taking it there.
Butter. I didn't know if it would be butter or mac and cheese or what. Oh man,
or country crock.
What was that?
I was raised poor, man. That's called the Mexican Tupperware. What you talking about?
Right. Well, we had it too. You know, that was how we were raised, because there was no Tupperware with kids. It was just being developed, you know. But yeah, absolutely.
My parents still save bacon grease.
Oh wow!
I save bacon grease
on my stove right now.
Yeah, I use it sometimes. James Kirkpatrick says, check out Aaron Tzitzki's programs on logic investigations. It's great. I heard it at Officer Leadership Training last year, and it is really good. It's very extensive.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Also,
it is good.
David Yance.
Yes,
he's been on the show before. He's got a really good presentation about guarding the West.
He did it with Rip Moore, right?
Dave Yance.
He and Rip Moore put it together.
Yeah. He said he worked with Rip to get some of that stuff. And
Yeah.
he has a really good presentation. CWH says, I think that's why it should take 3 years to become a Master Mason. Going to have to slow down there for the
Ooh.
quality over quantity. And maybe we should give our
I
candidates
agree.
a slower, meaningful entry, passing, and raising. What are the pros and cons of time between degrees? And yes, no, wasting stuff.
Wasting stuff.
I think so. This is something I've talked about before, and if you're talking, we're talking about changing culture on small things. Something like that, I don't disagree with, but that is a fight. That is a fight, and I agree with you. But as far as changing culture goes, that's probably one of the hardest things to change. And
I think most of our listeners do agree with me.
And of course, you still have your catechism, right? But make them. I think often people are passed just to be passed with their catechism. Have a high expectation for the catechism, and have them write a paper and give a presentation over what they've learned, at a minimum, and maybe present it to a board or something. Fill that time up with stuff. Don't just say, okay, just go sit
They do
around.
that in Mexico.
I thought you said they did. Don't just have
Yeah,
them sit
Mexico
around for
requires
you.
it.
Give them things to do. And, make them build that buy-in. So by the time they're a Master Mason, they've contributed a lot. Let's see.
Yeah, Mexico, they not only have to realize the work, but they also have to write papers along the way. And not just one, but they have to write several, through each degree. Go ahead, Oscar. Sorry about that.
Oh, I wasn't saying nothing. I actually need to get going. Tomorrow is my last day, so
Your last
I still
day.
got to go and do it. Yeah, in the Army.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. I was like, wow, okay, that's kind of forbidding. Well, congratulations on your what's that called? I forget. The
Retirement.
yeah. What's the other word for it?
You need to watch Stripes tonight and totally go in there like Bill Murray. Just have that attitude all of it. Just rattle off every obscene thing you can.
Hey, he can
as
still
you're
get
going
kicked
the
out.
door.
Well, no. They can cancel my leave, which would be painful. I don't know how my internship would understand.
But they wouldn't.
But
They wouldn't.
You underestimate how petty officers can be, Dennis.
Well,
I don't mess
I am
with
a
things.
Mason. I've
I don't-
seen-
Oh, you have no idea.
You just smile and nod.
You're
until-
right, I
until-
don't- I
until you're
don't.
officially done. Like you're
Yeah.
still.
I would have
you're still a
been-
soldier
I would have
until
been-
you're done.
Hey,
I would have been Bill Murray and get kicked out.
I was
Stripes
married to
is-
an Army officer for 18 years, so I kind of have some inside knowledge on how they are.
Yeah.
Stripes is the most accurate movie about the Army I've ever seen. So
Nice.
I've never seen Stripes.
Oh my gosh.
Is it like Caddyshack? I've seen Caddyshack.
Oh, what's
no,
next?
10
What's
times
next?
better.
What's next? You don't eat green beans at meetings?
Only if I could wrap them in a pancake
With spaghetti.
with spaghetti. Yeah.
Okay, folks. Thank you. It's been a great evening. Y'all have a great.
James Kirkpatrick says there's a Lodge of Perfection in South Louisiana that takes in a candidate and gives one Scottish Rite degree one at a time with study and proficiency between each degree. He says, I had the first
That is
newsletter
awesome.
for this Lodge of Perfection, which I can PM to you if any of you want it. Ooh.
Yeah, I'd love it.
Yeah, please. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, that's there's Austin and I were talking about that yesterday, and they're going to a deal now to where they only do the Order of the Temple one candidate at a time. They don't do multiple at all. They don't do it in a festival. They'll do all the other degrees in a festival, but the Order of the Temple is conferred on one candidate by himself. That's his day, and then you set the next guy up for the next time.
The Order
And
of the
I think
Temple
that is awesome.
really
That's how it
lends
should be.
itself very well to doing that.
Yes.
I could
Yes.
see doing the other two orders in a festival.
Yes.
But once you get to Order of the Temple, yeah, like you're saying, make that a home thing. Bring that home. Like, hey, we'll go to the festival. You can get all your degrees in the festival up to the Order of the Temple. And then you're going to come back to your home commandery. and we'll confer that on you, because it is
Right.
It is one of those. It's kind of like the walking lecture for Fellcraft. It's one of those things that really benefits from the intimacy of a one like a one person prison
Yes.
degree.
Yes, I agree.
James Kirkpatrick says, my good friend and brother Andrew Owen is Venerable Master, and my good friend brother Taylor Newada is the senior
Nada.
warden. Nada is the
Nada.
senior warden.
Taylor Nada.
So, I would like to go.
Yeah,
and visit
that
lodge.
makes sense as to why they're doing so good down there with them at the helm.
And CWH says Taylor Nada gave a good talk on hermeneutics. I don't even know what hermeneutics is. That's a new word. He is very well spoken. Let me Google that. I'm sure it has to do with hermeticism. Have you heard of that before, Dennis?
Thanks, James. I got your attachment, James. Thank you.
Oh, a branch of knowledge that deals with interpretation, especially
Hermetic.
the Bible or literary text.
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have not.
Biblical texts, wisdom, literature, as well as philosophical texts. It is more than interpretive principles or methods used when immediate comprehension fails. It includes the art of understanding and communication. Interesting. Man, there's just so many good speakers out there, man.
Yeah,
So
I need to get a hold of Taylor and ask him if he would come on the show and talk about that, because that's a good topic to talk about.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, every time I feel like maybe we tapped out, like, the good local speakers, we got some new people come across our people I've never heard of. But I mean, that sounds great.
And Taylor Nada's a damn good guitar player too. He's a musician.
Yeah, they say he plays good music.
Yeah.
So I have a question. If your lodge does not have, like the educational portion of having a guest speaker and stuff like that, how do you go about finding guest speakers and, setting that up? Is there like a step-by-step that we can, follow?
That's a tough one.
I would say there's first of all, I know where you're at. You're in South Texas, and I'm told it's difficult to get good education there. I don't know, because I've never been to the Valley or anything.
Yeah.
I would probably start on Facebook, and maybe even just like Texas Freemasons or something, and say, hey, I live South Texas. Anyone around here that can give a good presentation, and you may just look locally starting off. Just be that lodge that starts finding people locally. That, I mean, it doesn't have to be like a breakdown of Albert Pike or anything. It just challenge them to put together a short 10-minute presentation on something they care about, and or you could do it yourself. You could say, hey, this is really something that's interesting to me. I'd like to give a presentation on it, and just write up something. Use a PowerPoint if you can use a PowerPoint, and just start it that way. And then maybe you start taking it to other lodges too, and encouraging other people to do the same thing.
What I was going to say.
What I meant. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dennis.
Well, what I was going to say is it actually it's something that you have to get the buy-in internally first. So you need to get 4 or 5 guys that are interested in the same thing, and then that way you have more people talking it up than just you. And then once you do that for however long, probably a few weeks, start talking it up, build some interest, and then say, hey, I know a guy, and he'll come down. Why don't we do a called meeting or something, or just not even a called meeting? It'd be better if you had a called meeting and get it on the books that you're doing stuff, but not even a called meeting. But if you want to just have a dinner or something and have a guest speaker, my wife's family is from the Valley, so you give us a reason to go down there, and she'll love me to death for taking her down to see her family, and I'll sneak off to the lodge and just spend all day there.
Yeah.
Hey, don't threaten me with a good time, Dennis.
Yeah, I was going to suggest also, like, if you're having a hard time getting buy-in, bringing education to the lodge meeting, do it at dinner. Yeah. Do it at dinner and just say, hey, I'd like this guy to come give a talk while we're eating. All everyone has to do is just be quiet while they eat for a little bit. And
Well,
Oh.
that's what I kind of meant. Like, since I am a fairly new Master Mason, like that was my question. How do I structure it to where I can get the buy-in? Do I need to go through the secretary? Do I need to go through the worshipful master? Do I need to go
You
through
just
the
start
officer?
talking about it.
yeah,
Stuff
Just start
like that.
talking
Like,
about
that's
it.
what I meant.
I mean, nothing gets presented without the worshipful master, right? So you definitely want to include
Right.
him in it. But definitely, you can start building that buy-in as a whole. Because even if the worshipful master is not big on education, that doesn't mean the next guy won't be. And
Yeah, and you can always just ask people what they think about it. Hey, have we ever had programs? The more you ask people, the more receptive they are, and the more buy-in you're going to get. The more you say, we need this, they're just going to dig in their heels. But if you ask them, and you know, when you ask somebody, you're asking them to come into your world, into your way of thinking. But when you make statements, then it's, and I'm the king of making statements and getting people to dig their heels in. Don't worry, I'm saying that from experience. That's why I'm saying that.
Yeah, because my lodge, they are trying. We are trying and everything, but like we'll do a 15-minute on whatever, right, at the stated meeting, and then once that's done, then the worshipful master will turn to the brethren and be like, any volunteers for next stated meeting, and then if nobody volunteers, he appoints somebody, and it's kind of like, I
Well,
don't know.
you were there for the interview with Right Worshipful Almager, right?
Yes.
Remember when he stated that in their lodge they bought a TV so
Yeah.
that they could have presenters. You know, you're down in the valley. You're in your own world. That would be the perfect position to bring that to the lodge and say, hey, why don't we invest in a $300 TV? You can get a 50-inch nowadays for $300 and put it on the wall and hook up Zoom and we can have speakers from all around the world come to our meeting.
Excellent suggestion. Yeah.
And honestly, that has been brought up before my time. It was voted on, it was approved, but somebody dropped the ball.
Well, just all you got to do is remind them that was done and say, you know, do we have the funds to buy the TV? I'll come and mount it on my day off.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'll get the bracket and mount it for everybody, and then all you got to do is call your lodge to refreshment while you do the presentation, and then call it back in, bring it back up to when the presentation's over. That way, it's legal to have the Zoom conversation going in lodge, right?
You could even say, hey, we're going to have a quick dinner
tonight. During lunch.
We're going to have a quick dinner tonight, and then we're going to go to the lodge room before we open for 20 minutes for education before we open, or something. I mean, you have a lot of options, and
right.
I always like education.
And that's a great one.
Yeah, but I really like Dennis's suggestion. Like, especially if you're in a spot where it's kind of hard to get people. Like, I had a brother ask me to come to Brownsville to present. It's like, man, I would love to, but that's like almost an entire day one way, and I just cannot justify it.
And I'm 20 minutes from Brownsville, so
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm out here. We're down here.
If you had a Zoom set up, oh sure, I could. I mean, that opens a lot of possibilities as far as education.
Yes.
And even if you can't get somebody that meeting and you don't have education, there are some YouTube channels that have Masonic education that you can play.
Masonic improvements.
Oh yeah,
Right.
I guess that's one of them. So you do have options. You do have options.
Of course I do.
Yeah, and
here's another thing. If any of your brothers have gone to officer leadership in the past, prior to this year, they probably have a thumb drive that has PowerPoints on it from officer leadership training to where you could teach the whole lodge what they went through.
Yeah. And like y'all said earlier, like that the junior warden should be going through the law book and everything. We could also even post that up on the screen.
Right.
So everybody can be reading along and whatnot.
I would also strongly encourage your brothers to attend any local educational summits that might be beneficial to them, or conferences
That might be in Corpus Christi.
Yeah, that might be in Corpus
Shameless.
That's an hour and a half away.
Well,
An hour and a half away.
It's shameless, but that in all fact, that is why we chose that area. Because we know
shameless or not, I'm going because of that plug. So
we appreciate that. But that's why we chose.
I know that you are, but that is. Justin's right. That's why we chose Corpus, because South Texas has been kind of left in the dark on a lot of events that that strengthen South Texas, and so we need to bring more back into South Texas for the brothers, and so I think that Corpus is a very good median spot for the Valley, as well as up in my area and up in San Antonio, and Laredo. It's really a decent spot to hit all of South Texas.
Yeah.
Well, like Corpus calls itself the capital of the Gulf, so I mean,
Yeah.
We got to love them.
It's right there.
Right?
It's right there.
There's a few good comments. So CWH says try the Masonic Speakers Association, which I did not know was an association, but you might look that up. James Kirkpatrick says he has given talks on York Rite, Scottish Rite, religion and masonry, and also unity. He would love to hang out with all of you at Lodge. It'd be fun. So you might reach out to.
So there's two speakers right there.
I'd love to have James. Yeah. James, by the way, I'd love to have you come back to my York Rite sometime and give a presentation if you would. We're starting to have schools of instruction once a month, and let's see, next month for May, a local grotto is actually hosting our dinner because they're talking about transferring over to Hillsboro. But after May, we don't have anyone lined up yet, and we meet every month. We don't have a steady meeting every month, but we meet every month. There's always education. So just throwing that out there. If you're ever in Johnson County, if you want to come by Hillsboro York Route, we would love to have you. And then let's see what else. I guess it's John Sands says, or you can be the change. Always said that when there's a lack of leadership, it's time to step in. Yeah. And push for the TV, push to start doing your own. Just please don't do short talks. Short talks are the most uninspired and boring education pieces out there, I think.
Yeah, the short talk bulletins is what he's talking about. It's very bland and very general, so that it doesn't hurt anybody's feelings and it doesn't dig too deep into any one topic. It's very superficial. It's very literal.
If it's a presentation that you wrote, right, then you're going to be passionate. You're going to be knowledgeable. You can answer questions. People can tell you care about it, right? If I hand you something and say, "Hey, read this at Lodge," you don't know anything about it, even if you read it a few times. You can't really answer.
It's going to be just like reading the minutes.
Yeah, it's just like reading the minutes, and everyone just kind of glazes over. But if it's something you care about, it's totally different than just something you're handed to and told to read.
So it's going to be all dry and monotone?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, on the other hand, like if you find a short talk, you're like, hey, this is kind of interesting, let's dive more into it, and you extend it and you elaborate on it and you just use that as a springboard for your own presentation.
That's a good idea.
You can even quote it and refer to it. Yeah, you could totally do that. Just please don't just print it off and read it, because it's education on paper, but no one's learning anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's was one of the things that we've been trying to do at the Scottish Rite, and Dennis knows this, that the educational committee at the Scottish Rite will go out and do Blue Lodge presentations. We've had Victory Lodge has had Brad Kohenke come out. I think Chris is actually coming out next month. Guadalupe Lodge had Dennis come out, and it was all right.
Must have been desperate.
But I mean, so I guess
I just went to Fort Lavaca this last week.
Yeah. Well, and there's a Lodge of Perfection down in Laredo, and we can help. I guarantee you, there's somebody there that will probably be interested in.
There is
something like that, and it won't be it won't be skewed toward the Scottish Rite. It'll be appropriate for the Blue Lodge, but it will be focused on more educational part. The most of the time it'll be more esoteric.
It's supposed to make you think.
But
Yeah.
That's
Right.
the main thing.
shameless plug, I know, but going back to what we said earlier, like if you have a TV, right, and if you can stream things, that Dave Yance, the one I suggested, he gave his presentation on our show. Like you can play that in a educational setting, and it's the entire presentation.
You could do the letter. Oh
yeah,
my
I was gonna
gosh.
say Rip Moore. He showed the
my
letter
God.
presentation.
I remember that one.
I mean that is in its entirety. I mean I think it's also I need to separate it and make it its own. I don't know if I did or not, but I need to separate it, just make it its own because it was part of a bigger interview. I probably just need to cut that out and make it its own thing too. But
maybe we need to make some that are just education topics for the lodge, and just like you said, cut that and make it just on its own. Do a Dave Yachts on its own, things like that, so that we can help in that way. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
that would be a good idea.
I'm just springboarding off of you, partner. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah. But there's good stuff out there. I mean, not just Masonic Improvement, like was mentioned earlier. There's other good podcasts out there.
Because it's really difficult being so far south. Really close to the border, really close to the Gulf. I mean, there's really like nothing else out there Masonic wise other than the Blue Lodges and a couple of clubs that aren't actually like valleys or commanderies or anything like that. They're just like sub clubs of San Antonio or Corpus or wherever they're from. I don't know.
Right.
But,
speaking of the club, I'm now the president of the Coastal Bends Scottish Rite Club, and so that's one of the things I'll be doing is traveling around to the different areas, and I'll have to go down to the valley to reach you guys. I won't be able to have one in Corpus and say y'all come up here. So what we're gonna do is have dinners and education at each one of the meetings that we have through the club on behalf of the Scottish Rite Valley, and we'll do that down in the valley as well. And it's open to Master Masons as well, because we're wanting Master Masons to see that Scottish Rite really is the University of Freemasonry. And so that's the goal. So once that really gets kicked off, then I'll be coming down there. Don't worry. I'll be coming down there probably once a quarter anyways.
Yeah. CWH says the Master and Craftsman program in Guthrie College of Consistory were a great experience for Scottish Rite education. Also, Jean says there's also a lot of good books out there. We must be an autodidact as a Mason. That means we need to be doing like podcasts, YouTube's books. He's still in baby steps. Yeah. So if you're thinking about doing something more esoteric, and you want a really good resource that you can use for a long time, always keep this on hand. Secret Teaching of All Ages.
Can't see it.
Oh, hold on.
Put it.
Your screen.
Get the glare out.
Pull up my Zoom. There we go. Secret Teaching of All Ages.
Yeah.
And let me turn off this. Maybe that'll help. Yeah. It's by Manly P. Hall, right? Yep.
Okay.
Doesn't that look familiar, Jason?
And gosh, yeah. If you just type in "Secret Teaching of All Ages" by Manly P. Hall, it's not a cheap book, but I mean, look how thick that thing is, dude. And this is all esoteric, and it's chapters, and it's there's no rhyme or reason. It's just alphabetical order, esoteric subjects, and I mean, just pick something.
We're breaking it down right now, chapter by chapter, in our CME on Zoom, which is tomorrow night, and it's open to all Master Masons now.
Oh, I got a meeting I got to go to. That sounds really good though. But like, I mean, you got some Kabbalistic stuff. You got Hermetic pharmacology and chemistry. Let's see, Pythagorean mathematics, the zodiac and its signs. I mean,
talk about subjects, man.
Yeah.
Talk about freaking subjects you talk about.
If you want to dive into esoteric stuff, like just pick a chapter that's interesting to you, summarize it, put it in your own words, do like your own little side research, because this is an older book. Update it with some more relevant and newer information, and I'm not a PowerPoint guy, but make a PowerPoint if you want it, and just use that as a resource. So there's definitely great books out there. I just like that because it's I like books that have short subjects that you could pick up and say, hey, I'm going to dive into this
and dig into
it.
Yeah, me too. I'm that way. I grew up I guess all of our generation probably grew up with Reader's Digest, and they're all just a bunch of short stories.
Yeah,
and that's what yeah, that's the kind of stuff I love. When I was a kid, I learned how to read.
Yeah,
so,
I just don't keep Manly P. Hall by the toilet, but that's where Reader's Digest used to be.
I sure was.
Talking about Reader's Digest, what's that book that y'all said that was Chicken Soup for the Soul?
Light Reflections by Bradley Cohanky. That's a good one. That's an easy one to share in class. Yeah, that's an easy one to share in Lodge.
I just ordered that one, and it comes in on Tuesday, so that one will come into my library. So
there's another one.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what was it? I did a review for it by Austin Sheffram. I think it's not Light Reflections. Let me pull it up. But it's it's cheaper than this book, the one I just showed you. But it's also thinner. But it's laid out very similar. He wrote articles for a number of years, and I mean it's just articles over random things. And so if you just want something like I don't know what I want to talk about, this is interesting to me. Let me find it, and I'll tell you which one it was. I'm drawing a blank right now. Dude, I was uploading podcasts earlier today, and I was like, "What is the website I use for podcasts?" And it's like I could not remember. It's Anchor. Like, what is the website? I was like, it was not in my brain. I was like, what on earth? Yeah,
it's the Sunday Cobwebs, man.
I know.
Sunday Cobwebs.
It's More Light: Collected Masonic Writings from 2017 and 21 by Austin Schifrin. And
More Light and Masonic Writings. Okay.
Yeah, hold on. I'll share a link to the chat. I'll share it to the YouTube too, just in case anyone cares.
Yeah.
Let's do this. But
because slowly but surely I'm starting my Masonic library. I got that one, the Light Reflections. I got the Observing the Craft,
and that's a great one.
And I got There Is No Texas Without Freemasonry.
Nice.
So
you're on the right start.
And that's another short story book. That's why I brought it. Yeah. It's one of my $2 books. So is Light Reflections. My $2 books are the ones that, as most of y'all know, if I have a $2 bill in it, I died, that's going to my boys. That's a book to keep. And these are great for small presentations. Read that chapter and just write up a small presentation on that chapter. And that's great stuff.
What I've started doing is every time I finish one of my books, I've started taking it to my lodge because we got a nice library at Hillsboro, and I've just started. I probably donated I didn't donate; they're on loan, but I probably took about 20
I was going to
so
say
far.
I'm not donating. Nothing.
Yeah, I'm not donating. Like one day I want them back, but for now I'm taking all to the lodge, and not just Masonic books, even like personal development. So like Sovereignty by Order of Man guy. How to oh my gosh, The Richest Man in Babylon, How to Make Friends and Influence People, all these types of books I've taken it just kept them separate, right? But these are all books that any Mason will benefit from. As a Man Thinketh, which is great, really thin, but just bring them all in there and making them available because I'm not gonna. I can only read a few books at a time, right? And if I just read it, I'm not going to come back to it for a while. So why not take it to the library at the lodge and say, hey, you might benefit from this, and just go from there.
Another good source, Brother Bill has some books that he's written, and he always writes good articles and shares them on Facebook. So look up Brother Bill, and I follow him, and I know him personally, and he's just a great Mason. And In fact, I would like for him to be one of our guest speakers for one of our future events. But that's something I was going to mention about events. For those of you who don't know, the Light Reflections and There Is No Texas Without Freemasonry, those two authors are two of our guest speakers for the Masonic Improvement Summit. If you hadn't heard about it, it's going to be a big thing going on in Corpus, and we've got some of the sharpest people around in going on in with that are coming to present to you. And like I said, Brother Bill, he's going to be. I'm hoping to ask him to come on to be part of the next one. We got this one filled up, and it's like, well, we got to stop somewhere. I kept calling people, and everybody said yes. Let's do it.
We're talking about the summit. Yeah, I'm also going to share. Since we're talking about books, I'm going to share a link to a recent video. Dennis and I talk about some of our favorite books.
We had a video. Yeah,
and we're talking about a lot of good stuff, right? So I think it's worth just putting out to everybody. So I'll share the link because some of you are talking about some really good books, and part of me is like, you'd really also like this one. So I'm just going to send the link because watch in your own time. It's not a very long video. I will say,
got it.
James Kirkpatrick. So James said he loved The Richest Man in Babylon. If you have not read The Richest Man in Babylon, to read it. It's a classic. It's not a huge read. In Rich Dad Poor Dad. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, I actually took to my lodge. It's one of the books I took to my lodge. I haven't finished it, and everyone always hyped it up like it's a great book. Personally, it was not for me. Like it just bored the crap out of me. But I know it's a good book because people have always talked about how good it is. I think it's just me. So I went ahead and took it to lodge because someone, if that many people like it, they're going to benefit from it. Just me personally, I just cannot finish it.
If you're interested in investing in real estate, then yeah, that's the book for you. Especially if you're if you don't have big cash to put down on it, that's a good book.
Yeah. Richest Man in Babylon kind of follows the same mentality.
Yeah.
Making your money work for you.
Well, I heard it on an audiobook. So
which one?
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh yeah.
I did that one on audiobook.
Like I like Kiyosaki. I follow him. I follow his stuff. I just can never. I don't know. The book was.
At the end of the book,
I had really high expectations.
At the end of the book, I was just thinking, well, he made a lot of money on the book.
Yeah.
I wonder how he did on real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was back when Donald Trump was doing the rounds, also doing his real estate seminars and stuff. That was back in 2006, 2007, right before the crash.
So
that's when all that was real popular.
I've read More Light, Masonic Teachings, what the book we were just talking about, as well as The Meaning of Masonry and The Masonic Initiation, both by W.L. Wilmshurst. Wilmshurst. Have you read those, Dennis?
The one on Masonic Light?
The Meaning of Masonry and The Masonic Initiation.
No, I have not.
I have not either. I've heard.
I was going to say I have Light on Masonry, I think is what it's called, that I just got.
Yeah.
I also, if you like deep dive esoteric, now this will take.
What? What is that?
Stop watching that stuff, Jason. This will take deep dive into esoterics though. The Kabbalion by the Three Initiates.
Oh,
if you really want to stop and think about Mother Nature and the laws of nature and how they impact your world around you and how you affect your world and your world affects you, that's a book to read. But take your time on that one. That's not a quick read. That one you have to chew it up, put it into one stomach of it, having everybody chiming in.
Whoa, okay. I had a hiccup. That's weird.
Was that you that did that?
What was it?
No, I something started auto playing on Fox News, and it was a commercial.
No, my internet froze for a minute. I was like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Fundrise. James suggests Fundrise if you want to invest in real estate. That's interesting. I haven't heard of that. I'd like to get
Well,
into real estate
I am
one
a
day.
real estate investor, and I think that the best advice you can have is you make your money on the purchase. You don't make your money on the sale. So you got to buy right so that no matter what time of the season it is, no matter what the real estate climate is, if you have to sell it, you're going to make money. That's my word of advice.
Yeah, I
And
would
that's
like to get into real estate.
really. That's my philosophy on anything. You have to buy right. You make your money on the purchase, not on the sale.
Yeah. Yeah, Kabbalion. Yeah, Kabbalion is good. It's one of my
Yeah,
it was
that's
one of my first big Masonic books, and it's one of my go-tos. I really thoroughly
Pillars
enjoy
of Wisdom is a good one.
Oh, there's a wisdom. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't agree with everything that he wrote, and I didn't agree with a lot of it because he bashes Pike a lot. But the overall context of the information was pretty good. It made you stop and think.
James says, Dennis, great advice. I got to talk to you more on that strategy sometime. I want to be able to fly on the wall when you are having that conversation because I might learn something. So,
You don't want to learn from me.
hey,
I just talk to them until they just want to give it to me. That's
well, you have more houses than I do, so yeah, I'll listen to what you have to say. But yeah.
Well.
Anyway,
Hey, Dennis, what was the one we read after Pillars of Wisdom that everybody hated? Musings of a Masonic Mystic. By A.E.
Yes.
Waite.
Well, I don't think everybody hated it so much, but it was just it was a hard one.
Yeah, it was not a great one.
Yeah, it wasn't one of the best. It's kind of like Pillars of Wisdom. It had some nuggets in it, but it wasn't one of the best.
Yeah.
by the way,
But aren't the good books the ones that challenge you?
Right. It's better if you have to go and figure out if it's a good book or not later.
yeah, I would also recommend one of my favorite books, and it's free, and it was actually one of the publications. The original version was one of the publications. There's a newer, updated version, but the original version of this book that I'm about to tell you about is part of what got me back into the fraternity after I left, and that's called "Laudable Pursuit" by the Knights of the North.
Oh yeah,
and
I've heard of that one.
It was so impactful to me. So I'm going to share that link to that also. It's actually in the book video, but I'm going to share it here too, because you could take that book and read it and take any of the principles they talk about and expound upon that in a meeting in education, and everybody will benefit from it. I mean, that is like the prototype of what led me to create Masonic Improvement. Was the ideas behind that book.
Okay.
Here's I'm going to share a new one that I just got that I'm fixing to dive into. I'm really excited about it.
You might break your neck. Don't dive into it. I mean, you got a hard
It's
head.
called Allegorical. I already have a broken neck. See my score? It's called Allegorical Conversations Arranged by Wisdom. I purchased it off the Southern Masonic Jurisdiction, Scottish Rite of Southern Masonic Jurisdiction website.
Okay. And can anybody buy it from there, or just you gotta be Scottish Rite too?
The book club, the bookstore is open to anybody, I think.
Okay, cool.
But that's another thing is that, people that are members of the Scottish Rite can become a member of the Scottish Rite Research Society, which I am, and we get a book called Heredom every year for being a member, and it has different topics that you can read up on and learn about. It's really cool. It's really cool. It's a lot like the Texas Lodge of Research books that they put out every few years, with all the papers that are written from people here in Texas. That's another good resource for 15-minute talks, because that's all. Every paper that's written for the book is supposed to be a 30-minute presentation, and it is presented in the lodge before it's accepted as a paper for the Texas Lodge Research. So those are 30-minute presentations. And you can become a member just being a Master Mason. You're only a full member once you write a paper and present it, but you can become a member and get those books just by paying your dues.
Yeah.
Value, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you asked for a little, kind of probably overwhelmed you with book suggestions.
Oh,
This,
no.
this. Here, watch this video. Watch this video.
I actually have another
Right.
question now.
What's that?
No. Now,
Okay.
now I actually have another question. So if your Blue Lodge has a library or it doesn't have a library, how do you go about making a library? And do you think that's valuable to the brethren?
It depends on how much space you have, whatever it look like. Hillsboro, we have a room dedicated to it. My home lodge, you would probably have to get like a small shelf, and fill that up. I mean, you're
And that might be enough for your lodge
Yeah, I mean,
to start out.
you could get frankly, my home lodge, my original lodge, you can get a small nightstand and fill that with books, and no one probably still read them, right? But Hillsboro's different. Hillsboro, I brought books and people are reading them, so it really just depends on your lodge.
I would also say ask your older members, say, hey, do you have books on your shelf that you don't read anymore? Would you loan them to the lodge for a while? We'll put your name in it. It'll be yours. The lodge members will know, and they're gonna check them out, just kind of like with a book, with a library. You know, they're gonna check them out and read them, or they can read them at the lodge before lodge or whatever. But ask your older members, because I guarantee you many of them have many books that they have read or bought that they had planned on reading and didn't read, and they'd be willing to just, not donate them to the lodge, but just loan them to the lodge for a little while.
Yeah. See, because it's tricky with my lodge, because we have the space. We actually do have a library, but the secretary's office was its own room. That got overfilled, and the secretary moved his office to the library. So now that's under lock and key, so nobody can go in there without the secretary there.
Yeah, that's counterproductive. So I would move the library out of the secretary's office. I would get with your building committee and get with the worshipful master and see if you can get that moved.
Because that's a building
They're not
committee
doing
decision,
anybody.
not a secretary decision.
Yeah,
Well,
at Guadalupe.
I'm sorry. Interesting fact, I am on the building committee, so.
Oh, there you go. Two birds, one
So
stone.
just talk to the worshipful master and your other.
Yeah.
Right. What were you going to say, Jason? I'm sorry.
In Guadalupe, we actually went the other way. So I'm the secretary of Guadalupe Lodge, and the incoming master, well, no, he was the senior warden at the time when I became secretary, bought the lodge, but essentially bought me a laptop to use as lodge secretary. So everything, 99% of what I do as a secretary, I do here.
Right.
And so basically the secretary's office,
That's the way it should be.
we had a file room and then a quote secretary's office. And I just told them basically to turn it into whatever they want. And it's not quite there yet. We're still kind of figuring out what direction. But basically, it's going to become a library because Guadalupe Lodge it's number 109. We've been around for over 150 years, and so we've got books going back way back and stuff.
I've got every Grand Lodge annual communication in my lodge.
Yeah.
So do we.
The book of every one.
Yeah.
We have AMD at my lodge, and some of the guys they don't come to Hillsboro much, but they're from the Metroplex and they're book collectors. So they were looking through our library with a little envy. I guess there's one version of some book out there that's super rare they were looking for that we don't have, but that's probably like the only rare book that we didn't really have a copy of.
See, and our library, it's full of books. It like I've only been in there once, but like I said, nobody else knows, or I don't think they know what actual books we have in there.
Mm.
And if you're
There's a book on
secretary,
Rosicrucians that's about $11,000 that
Yeah.
is highly sought after. That
Oh,
may be
nice.
one of them.
Very nice.
and if your secretary is saying that he needs an entire space to do his work, I would probably question that. Just saying.
Yeah.
I don't think
How much stuff are you hoarding?
Like,
I don't think it was the current secretary. I think it was a past secretary that did it.
Right.
But I mean, we've gone through maybe 3-4 secretaries throughout the past 5 years, and it's just one of those stepping stones that we're still trying to reorganize, restructure our lodge, and we're building up, trying to at least.
Nice. James Kirkpatrick, not to change the subject, but James Kirkpatrick says, I want to give public kudos to my good friend Alfredo Gonzalez, who received the prestigious KYCH award last night at Grand Commandery.
Wow! Congratulations.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
But
Congratulations.
as far as
Congratulations to all the officers.
I think if your lodge has a library, I think it would probably be beneficial. And this is not an official officer, right? But appoint a librarian for your lodge, and say, hey, you're in charge. Like someone that actually cares. Like you're in charge of the library. Find out for real what we got. Organize it. Keep track of who's checking things in and out. And like here, the lodge can even say, hey, you got $100 this year. Get a few books. And just slowly add to it.
Right.
You know what's awesome? The best library I've seen so far, and I love our library at the Scottish Rite. We have a beautiful, beautiful library. But the best one I've seen is the one.
We're getting choppy.
Brother
Yeah.
Jeff Holder, he actually, they had the library upstairs in a glass compartment. Yeah, my connection's getting unstable.
It's that
air
AT&T connection.
You're unstable, Dennis.
Hey. And it's air conditioned. It's climate controlled and air conditioned. I mean, it's cold in that library. It's awesome. You go in, and that's to preserve the books. And
Right.
and they've got books that you would just not believe. It's a really impressive library.
Wow.
Not to say that I don't absolutely love our library, but they're taking it to the seriousness of climate control, making sure they preserve that history. You know, everything is done proper there, and that's kudos to them. They're doing a good job. Jeff Holder's doing a great job.
Yeah, taking care of old books is it's complicated, right? Like you need like a Robert Marshall, or like what you're describing, like someone that knows old books and how to handle them and how to preserve them and take care of them. PSA: the Chinese word for Yates means unstable.
Yes. And don't you forget it.
So
Awesome.
I have a
That is
side
awesome.
question.
I like that.
I have another side question. Since we are going with like extracurricular, like libraries and books and stuff like that, what else can we have at a Blue Lodge? Is like a pool table permitted? Poker cards,
Absolutely.
poker table. Like what
Anything
is
y'all
actually
want.
permitted?
Can you play poker at your
Sure
lodge?
Lodge.
margarita bar. You can have that.
With no
That's-
alcohol.
Yeah,
With no alcohol.
exactly. A virgin.
That's a
margarita
very
bar.
depressing margarita bar. Yeah, you can have pool tables if you want, or like sitting areas. Like get rid of the display cases that are full of junk that no one really is interested in, and
Get nice couches,
put
not
some
the
nice
ones
couches.
that were
Places-
handed down back in the 60s.
Places that'll facilitate discussion, right?
Yeah.
You can improve the dining room, get some nicer tables, some nicer chairs. I would suggest instead of just a TV in your lodge room, consider getting
Yeah.
one for your dining room, too, if you can afford it.
Right.
That way, going back to what we're talking about, having education at dinner too, you could do that. Yeah, James Kirkpatrick says lodges can be a man cave, and absolutely, you absolutely can make it a man cave. If you got a space, start building a gym in there. Give brothers a place to, where's Cesar Rubio right now?
Oh my goodness.
Give them a place where they can actually work out in their free
Work
time.
out.
Yeah.
Well, because that's really like what I see a lodge room should be. It should be a place of sanctuary. It should be a clubhouse. It should be, somewhere where, hey, I have nothing to do. Let me go to lodge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do
but-
like that, and you could even expand to the outside and put a little deck outside and have a cigar area to where people can smoke cigars and visit and enjoy themselves after lodge or before lodge. A lot of times in Port Lavaca, while they're cooking dinner, they cook it on the barbecue outside, and while they're doing that, they just sit and smoke cigars and visit and outside.
I think
so many possible.
access to your lodge should be like a gym membership, right? Like
Right.
to get into your lodge, you got your key, and it's like a card. You swipe your key, and if you're in arrears, you can't get in, right? But or suspended, you can't get in. But as long as you're paid up and you're good in the system, any master mason in good standing can get into that lodge. And if he wants to go play pool, or if there's a gym available or something like that, he has access to that. And that's part of the value the lodge provides. Of course, the dues have to be high enough to offset worrying about electrical cost and additional water cost and.
That's what I was gonna say. Well, I was gonna wouldn't the discussion of dues have to come up to change the dues, to checks and balances for the cost of everything.
The issue with that is what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Meaning, do you provide value first and then say we have to be able to pay for it with dues? Or do you say, hey, let's raise our dues so we can have these things? I don't know the answer for that. I think that depends on
that's a tough one.
Yeah. All right.
See, because I'm
not getting pictures.
I don't have
YouTube. I don't know why.
The thing is, I don't have a traditional job. I'm a over the road truck driver, so I'm off on sporadic days. So when I want to go to lodge, sometimes nobody's there. Sometimes 5 people can show up. Sometimes 2 people can show up. But there's really nothing to do there other than stated meetings, and I want to change that, but I just don't know how to bring that up and how to, get the ball rolling. What's the first domino that I need to drop for that?
You almost have to.
That's a good question.
Most people aren't. You almost have to be willing to. I think you have to provide the value before you can justify it. That's just been from my experience, and that may be.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Hey, this brother has an old pool table that he wants to donate, and then everyone's
I have a pool table.
Oh well, there you go.
I have a pool table that I'm willing to donate to the lodge, but I just don't know if I can or can't.
Oh yeah.
You can if your lodge wants it, then you can do it.
And if the brothers really enjoy it, say, hey, I'd like to. If you guys like this, we could provide more things that people enjoy.
You could do a pool tournament fundraiser.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
The only other thing that can deter it from actually coming into fruition is that we're not the only organization in our lodge. We also have Eastern Star there, and I don't know
who
how
owns
that's
the
lodge. Is it?
Who owns the lodge?
Course.
It's not their choice.
Who's paying rent?
Of course, it's our lodge.
There you go. I mean,
they're guests in your lodge. They don't have a say.
Yeah,
they get their rented space, and that's what they have a say on.
I've heard what you said before from other lodges. Like, well, what if OES doesn't like it?
Yeah,
they're tenants. At the end of the day, it belongs to the Blue Lodge. It's the Blue Lodge's lodge, and you don't want to run off your tenants. I'm not suggesting be callous. You don't want to run them off.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you can't. Especially lodges that have lots of tenants, you can't stress over every little thing, right? Say like, hey, this is what I think, because ultimately Blue Lodge has to take care of Blue Lodge, right? Blue Lodge has to worry about providing value for its members, and frankly,
Yes.
And this is what's crazy. A pool table. If your brothers find value in a pool table, the York Rat guys are going to also. The AMD guys, the other people are going to find value too. It's just
Right.
The grotto and the shrine.
yeah,
Yes.
especially those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially
that's-
because they're trying to build a grotto down there where we're at. So
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the all the initiations a
yeah,
couple weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's
that's
funny.
that's pretty cool.
I like it.
It's
yeah.
funny.
There's a lot of young blood down there that's trying to. I'm sorry, Jason. Go
That's
ahead.
No, that's all right. No worries.
Go ahead, Jason.
No, I was just saying it's funny to hear about. Well, we don't want to upset the Eastern Star. Our Eastern Star in Seguin is almost. They're almost overboard in not wanting to upset Blue Lodge. Like, my wife was like, "Oh, we can get something from the secretaries." I mean, they're like, "Oh, well, we got to make sure it's okay with the sec." My wife's like, "Married to him, it's okay."
Yeah, I know a guy.
Yeah, it's
I got
fine.
some
Like
connections.
they've gone almost the opposite way. Like they're afraid to do anything because they don't want to upset the Masons. And it's like,
That's good. That's
guys,
well, and that's
I appreciate it, but guys, relax a little bit. We're not, we're not ogres over here.
right.
Yeah. Well, because
Most of us.
like I said, like we do have both organizations there, and I don't know what belongs to who, and like being a new Mason like myself, like I really don't know what belongs to anybody. I just see a whole bunch of filing cabinets and what belongs to who. Like I don't know.
Well, if you're looking at cleaning your lodge up, just pass the word to the secretary of OES. Say, hey, put your name on it if it's yours, because we're going to start.
if
we're gonna
not,
start
it's going in
cleaning
the
things
trash.
up. Yeah, and I think lodges need to do that every once. We're going through. We're doing a small cleanup of my lodge a couple of years ago, Hillsboro, and Hillsboro's had a lot of lodges merged with it because it has a lot of small satellite towns that had lodges like early 1900s, and they all merged. And I found receipts from 1920 from some of these lodges that merged with us. And it's like, it's cool, but there'll never ever be a need for these things. And
Yeah,
I
read the
was gonna
minutes, not the
say-
receipts.
yeah.
I was going to say the easiest way, one of the easiest things that we did to really shrink down the number of file cabinets that we were using was going through the financials of stuff that had been kept, stuff from banks that no longer existed. So you just look
Went
up,
out of business with the Great Depression.
just look up your IRS laws, and the big things that you have to hold on to are
7
things
years.
audits and stuff. But if it's over, main things, if it's over 7 years old, as a general rule,
It's gone.
it's gone. Like you don't need it unless it's an audit. That's about the only thing that you have to keep. Beyond, I mean, we got rid of probably 20 to 30 boxes of files that just canceled checks for somebody bought pizza 30 years ago.
And that's not uncommon. Yeah, that's not uncommon. You're talking about something that every lodge deals with and every lodge has.
Well, it gets filed away temporarily, but it gets forgotten permanently, and
Right.
it adds up. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and not
digitizing
only
your
that,
minutes is a
but-
great place to start. Yeah, digitizing your minutes if you can. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, don't get rid of your
Yeah,
minutes.
but you still want
Yeah,
to
you
keep
still
them.
keep them. Yeah, but
Keep your minutes, but financial stuff. Oh my God, you can get rid of 95% of that stuff easily.
When we cleaned out our lodge, I threw away 4 vacuum cleaners that didn't work. 4, and we have no carpet.
well, hey, that's all I might fix those one day, Dennis.
Yeah.
If you put them all together, you might have a working
I
one.
thought about selling them on eBay for antiques because we had a Hoover, we had some 70s thing. Yeah,
So the
it was
lodge
funny.
at Grandview burned down in the 1960s, and for a long time we thought that meant all the minutes prior to 1960 were destroyed, like we didn't have them anymore. And it was pretty close to our 150-year anniversary. One of the brothers passed away, and the family was going through his stuff. And he had in his garage one of those old, like a horizontal deep freeze, but it wasn't plugged in or anything. But it was full of the missing minutes. Granted,
Oh my
they should have
God.
never left the lodge, right? But
Yeah, that
it
is
was to
against
our
the law.
benefit at this point because we suddenly had these old minutes that were lost and very well preserved because they were in this deep freeze for this entire time. So one of the brothers started the process of digitizing those. It can't hurt, right? It's good to have it, not need it. There's also some
I was gonna
software that you could use that you can actually do like control find, and it will recognize the text on the minutes on the PDFs.
Yeah, the OCR, yeah.
OCR. So it'll be good
I was
for
gonna
finding things.
Yeah, I was gonna say if the lodge can afford $1,000, and even if it's, especially if you're sharing it with OES or something, if each one contributed $500, you can buy a really good or really decent scanner that is an overhead projector scanner for books, and that's what they use to archive books. And so you put the book in, it's an overhead scanner. It's not like a machine. It's just like a wand that just goes and gets your book. And so
Red had one of those,
now
like
it's
a permanent one, like a not a permanent one, like a portable one.
Yeah, and that's what they are. They are so that you can adjust it to any size book.
Yeah.
And it's legal to do that now. So why lodges aren't doing things like that? Even if a district were to get together and buy a scanner and everybody use it, everybody get to use it to do their minutes and stuff, that'd be worth a fortune.
It's tedious.
$200 per lodge.
That's why I've always done it. It's tedious.
Yep. But we got some history buffs.
But if somebody has the time to do it, I mean, it's like we always say, it's a volunteer organization. You got to volunteer to do it.
Yeah, agreed.
I guarantee you there's an old past master out there that's willing to just sit there and do that. I guarantee you. I got one that likes to make the nameplates.
That way, when he says that's not how he did it in my year, he knows what the minutes are that he could show you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Give him the ammunition.
Well, brothers,
put up or shut up.
We've been at this for 2 hours. And it is Sunday evening.
This has been a great conversation.
Oh, it has been. It's been really good. We should do this again. I'm disappointed that the brother that suggested, well, not a brother, but the guy that suggested this couldn't make it, I guess. Zach, I think it was Zach's idea.
Yeah, it was.
Zach Smith.
Where is Zach?
Didn't show up.
Well, hopefully we'll do this again and he'll hop on.
Right after I friended him on Facebook, he drops off the face of the earth.
The audacity. Yeah.
Millennials.
So y'all have any more questions before we wrap this up then?
Nah, not me.
Okay. Good. All right. Well,
I'd like to say something real quick. Brothers, don't forget about the Masonic Improvement Summit. It is September 16th. The tickets are available on Eventbrite, and you can find them on almost every post that we put on Facebook. The tickets include, not only does it include the actual event of all the speakers, which are powerhouse speakers, but it also includes the meal for the festive board. And so, there's festive boards that cost $100 to go to, if not more. All the ones I go to are at least $100 for just a festive board. And we're doing all of this, including a master's degree performed, supported by Oso Lodge, for $115. I mean, that's amazing.
And so I pinned the link to the Eventbrite at the top of the chat. So definitely, and like I say every time, these tickets they're going fast. And so if you're talking about it, if you're wanting to go, you get those tickets. Get them, because if you wait till July, August, I don't think
you probably will miss out.
They'll be gone by then, just based on the rate they're selling at. And so, especially if you're like in that part of Texas, like on the valley or near Corpus, and maybe you feel
brothers,
like,
we're doing it for you.
You feel like there's not enough education in that area. You want some good presenters. I would definitely suggest you bring it up to the brothers at your lodge. Try to bring a group. Try to get them all on board. Try to get that buy-in, because I mean it's going to be great. It's going to be great. And I'm talking about you, Oscar. I'm talking about you.
Yeah.
So because here's what's going to happen. It's the same thing with OLT and Masonicon. Like one guy will go and he'll go and get fired up, and then he comes back and no one else has been sold on it, right?
Right.
So you get like 2 or 3 guys, and it sounds I'm not. I know it sounds biased because me and Dennis are putting this together, but I would say this about OLT. I would say the same thing about Masonicon. Take a group, because one man on fire is easily doused, right? But if you bring a whole group of guys in and they're on fire, then that starts to spread around the lodge.
Well, not only that, but this is everybody that I've ever really met and ended up being into my inner circle around the nation. I've met them at events like this. Like-minded people go to these events. And so as you travel and you go to these events, then you meet these speakers, and a lot of them are very willing to travel. You just gotta put them up for a hotel or something if it's a long distance or what have you. Well, you got to be hospitable to some degree.
Clearly, but a lot of them, they're coming to Corpus.
Yeah, we've got brothers from New Mexico and Arkansas coming to speak for us just on a request.
Yeah.
Just because we're brothers and they love us. I mean, that's why they're coming.
Because
from the valley to Corpus, that's a 3-hour drive still.
Hey, it's 9 hours for me.
But it's a lot closer than Austin or San Antonio or Dallas, where all the speakers are. I can tell you.
But here's the thing.
Of course it is.
Here's the thing. And I'm just going to say this. Dennis and I could have just as easily put together this event and say, hey, we're going to do this in DFW area, or we're going to do this in San Antonio area. Places where we know there's a lot of people, and we could have, it'd be successful. But we wanted to make sure we're taking this to places where the brothers aren't.
That's our goal.
They're not. Yeah, I mean, we talk about this every time, right? Like, if you don't know, if you're not getting the masonry that you want, reach out to us, and we can point you in the right direction, right? But we want to be sure that these guys in these more remote parts of Texas are getting the Freemasonry they want, and inspiring them to create that in the area. Before we decided Corpus, we were looking at El Paso. I mean, we weren't looking at any major metropolitan areas. I mean, the low-hanging fruit's Fort Worth, DFW, or Austin, or San Antonio. But we wanted to say, hey, let's reach out to these guys that are reaching out to us, because they're saying they're not getting what they're looking for. And me personally, I was in that boat once, and I think Dennis probably was too, which is why we got a soft spot for this kind of situation. And so. I'm just saying, like, we're doing this. We're in the location that we chose to reach out to those brothers. So this is their opportunity to say, hey, this is here. This is on my doorstep. And Texas, 3 hours is still on your doorstep. This is on my doorstep. I wanna be there for that.
Well, and to that point, the best way to get an event like this in your area is to make sure you show interest in one that's close enough. And the one thing you can ask all the brothers there is, when is the last time somebody put an event together like this down here for us?
Yeah. The odds of this happening again in Corpus are really dependent on the success of the first year. And granted, like I said, the tickets are selling fast, so I'm anticipating success. But just from a business perspective, we gotta be sure we're hitting the place. Like if say hypothetically we went to Corpus and no one was there, well clearly Corpus is not buying what we're selling, if that makes sense. So
Right.
It's just the opportunity for that area of Texas to. I mean, I know OLT goes there, but there's no Masonic con or anything like that.
Yeah, this isn't OLT. This is real live people that are the leaders in their areas, and they're experts in the stuff that they're talking about. And it's not the nuts and bolts of lodge management. This is leadership, inspired leadership. So it's a lot different than the OLT experience. We don't want to take away from that, because I personally believe that that's one of the best programs there is for Texas Freemasons. But with that being said, there's definitely a niche for what we have to offer, and it's also different from Masonicon and the symposiums that you're seeing.
Yep.
It's different. It's not so. It's going to be an amazing event.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for anybody who second guesses that at all, because that you rarely see.
I mean, have they looked at our speakers?
Right. That's what I was fixing to say. And you rarely see speakers that are so excited to go to an event themselves because of the other speakers.
Yeah.
These brothers are excited to come down, and they're bringing people with them just to see other speakers.
The speakers are hyping your speakers up. Yeah. And if that doesn't hype you up,
crazy.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, if that doesn't get your juices flowing, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to be in the audience watching this and experiencing this.
And so we've released 3, right? We just recorded 1.
Right.
We're going to release. There's 3 more, aren't there?
Yes.
3 or is it 4? I think it's 3, right? Unless I'm missing somebody.
3.
And so
one secret.
Oh yeah, that's not one of the 3 though, right?
No.
That's the one that gets unlocked if you come to the festive board. So
yes,
it's I'm just saying it's like we haven't even finished announcing, and like it's yeah. I don't show excitement very well, but I'm extremely excited about this. Like it's gonna be
so many activities.
Well, you kind of do, because you get a little twinkle right here and a wrinkle right by your eye.
Oh.
When you get excited.
That's funny. You do. You're all serious all the time. All of a sudden, you start talking about this and you start getting excited.
Yeah,
that is funny.
Yeah.
Hey, but
now, real quick,
do me a favor. DM me some of the info for the summit. That way, I can post it to my local lodge, and I can post it to the Brownsville. Rio Grande 81,
okay,
and some of them down there. I'll share it to them and stuff like that.
I'm gonna make a graphic with the 3 that I don't know if I want to make it. Yeah, I'll just make it with the 3 that we already have released, and
okay, and the picture of the Lexington,
and open like blank spots for the remaining 4 at that time, or maybe it'll be 3, but maybe it will be 4 by that time.
Idea.
Yeah, it just depends on when this next one releases, and then I'll make that post and I'll send it to you too, if you like.
Okay.
And then you could kind of get that out there.
And just if sometime tomorrow, if you can send me like just the show notes kind of deal, just doesn't have to be a graphic or nothing, but just something I can talk about, because we are having a thingy tomorrow, the fellowship, fellowcraft degree.
Show notes.
Oh.
So I could bring it up and
yeah,
bombard them right there and then.
I don't know if I'll be able to get I don't know if I'll be able to get that to you that quickly, because I have a meeting right after work tomorrow.
I can try and create something for you.
Okay, yeah,
just the link of the Eventbrite thing, so I could share it to them.
Okay, yeah, Dennis, do you mind putting that together? Because I'm going to bed after this, and I'm going to work, and then I'm going to the lodge right after. Like I won't be home or anything.
I start driving in like 3 hours, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do it in the morning.
Awesome.
One other thing I want to mention, because it is near and dear to my heart. I know it's near and dear to Jason's heart. Our Scottish Rite reunion is coming up on May the 13th. We will take petitions up to the day before, or the day of, actually. And but we would rather know sooner than later, so we can make sure and have all the stuff we need to feed you and make sure that you're comfortable and having fun and share information with you. But it's the first time in over 45 years, that we've done 22 of the 29 degrees performed on the stage. And it's going to be on 2 Saturdays, so you're not having to rush home from work to get there on a Friday night. So Saturday the 13th in May and Saturday the 20th in May. And I'm telling you, I practiced for several degrees today, getting ready for it. Many brothers are doing that just for you, so that you can have the best experience you can with these degrees. It's really a worthwhile venture. I'm not going to say I don't like the York Rite. I love the York Rite, but I'm going to tell you the Scottish Rite is the University of Freemasonry, and it is for a reason. There's just no doubt. It's hands down. There's just no doubt any reason. The 24th degree in itself shows you it's the University of Freemasonry.
More like the community college, but
no, sir. maybe up in Dallas or Fort Worth, but in San Antonio.
All right.
We love you guys. I truly believe that Dallas and Fort Worth have wonderful Scottish rites, and as well as Houston and El Paso. You know, all of us have great Scottish rites, but this is really a seriously big event that hasn't happened in over 45 years, and it is worth it to invest in yourself and invest in your Freemasonry with the Scottish Rite. It really is.
Maybe I should join one day.
I think you ought to. So
not
you can go
San Antonio, but
so that you can't, but you ought to, so you can go up to no, because they're the valleys are serious. You should be in your valley so that you can get the maximum benefit. But
yeah, you
so
can't
you
can't join ours. Sorry,
I'm not cool.
You're not allowed.
You're not allowed. No.
Ours is a big.
No matter how much you beg and try, no, you can't.
But
I want
to, so you can go up to Arkansas with me to the Scottish Rite reunion up there in October.
Sounds good. All right, everybody. I'm logging out. It's late.
Yeah, it's time. Love you
All
guys.
right, appreciate it, guys.
Between the points.
Bye bye.